What's up guys, Rage Quitting here, back with another video guide for you guys, and today we are going to do the Spellbreaker Warrior in Guild Wars 2. Let's just go ahead and jump straight into the build here. So for the build, we are going to be using Strength, Discipline, and of course Spellbreaker. Going over the traits real quick, in Strength, we're going to take the bottom one here. Peak Performance, deal increased strike damage, which is basically all of your attacks are just going to be doing a little bit more damage now. Physical skills have strong reduced recharge, and further increase all outgoing strike damage for a period of time. So what this is here, what it means is for physical damage, your utility skills here are in different categories, right? Like you have different types of heals, you have different types of utility skills. The ones that we are going to be using mostly are physical. So if you see here on Mending, it says physical at the top, also with Stomp and Bull's Charge, and then also Rampage. They are all under the category of physical skills. So now since we have this talent point here, we have reduced recharge, cooldowns on all of those abilities so that we can use them more often. Going on to the next one, Forceful Greatsword, gain power and a chance to gain might on critical strike. Double these bonuses while wielding a greatsword or spear. And then also greatsword skills recharge faster. So for our main weapon choice, we are going to be using a greatsword. All right, that is going to help us here. The whole build revolves around your greatsword as your main damaging ability, the way that you will finish kills and enter fights for the most part. So having lower cooldown on your greatsword abilities really helps with your mobility and with your damage output. So we're going to take Forceful Greatsword here. Going into the next one, we're going to take Might Makes Right, gain health and endurance whenever you apply Might to yourself. So applying Might to yourself is basically just giving yourself some buffs whenever you deal damage. And then in turn, it is also going to give you some healing back and endurance. All right, for the discipline tree, we're going to be using Warrior Sprint. So run faster while wielding melee weapons. So your greatsword as well as your dagger and shield are all melee weapons. So you have passive movement speed increase with this. And then movement skills break immobilization when used, so it's really nice. Going down here, we're going to be using Brawler's Recovery, so remove conditions whenever you swap weapons. The passive talent that you automatically get here in the discipline is Fast Hands. Weapon swapping recharges faster. You will be able to weapon swap very often. No other class can swap weapons as quite as fast as Warrior can. While you're moving between your dagger shield and your two-handed greatsword, you will be removing conditions every time you weapon swap. That is really nice there. And then down here, now we're going to take Burst Mastery. So burst skills deal more damage, grant swiftness, and restore a portion of adrenaline spent. If you don't know what adrenaline is, it is this other bar down here, a resource bar that you build up while you are being hit and while you are attacking. And then you have two abilities as Spellbreaker to use adrenaline, burst skills is what they call it. When you have adrenaline, you can then spend your adrenaline on either an Arcing Slice, which is a DPS burst skill with your greatsword. You swing your sword around in a circle and deal heavy damage, or you can use it on Full Counter, which is a defensive ability, but it's pretty much an offensive one at the same time too. As long as they hit into your shield, they will then be crippled, slowed, dazed, and you gain swiftness and you get some damage reduction as well. So your choice there on which one to use in the moment, but having this talent point here will then help increase your adrenaline so that you can use your burst skills more often. All right, moving down into Spellbreaker, we're going to take No Escape. So dazes and stuns inflict immobilize. If I switch to my dagger shield here, the dagger 3 skill is a daze. And now when you daze people, you will inflict immobilize. So it's pretty much like a stun, right? Because daze, you can't use any of your abilities, and immobilize, you are unable to move. So it's like a short stun every time you land one of your dazing abilities, which is your dagger 3 and your Full Counter. And then also in the passive here for Spellbreaker, Dispelling Force, dazes, stuns, pulls, knockdowns, knockbacks, and launches remove boons. So this build is really good at removing boons. If you don't know what boons are, if you're new to the game, it's pretty much like buffs, character buffs. So you have a lot of CC in this build, and every time you hit them with any of your CC, you are removing their buffs or their boons, which is really nice. And then here I like to take Slow Counter. So Full Counter applies cripple and slow. So when I'm using my burst skill, our adrenaline skill here, Full Counter, which is what you get with Spellbreaker. It's a shield around your body. If they hit into it and they get hit by it, they will now be crippled and slowed, along with dazed and, just putting more debuffs on the target, okay? Or conditions, as they call it in Guild Wars. All right, and the next one here, down here, we're going to take Magebane Tether. Tether yourself to a target. If they move beyond the range threshold, they get pulled. So this automatically happens when you land a burst skill on them. So you land a burst skill, it puts a tether on them, and then you can either run the other way to CC them for a short period by pulling them onto the ground, or if they try to run away from you, they will end up pulling themselves, onto the ground, which is just another form of crowd control, which is pretty annoying at times. So this is the setup here. For the equipment, we are going to be using Berserker Amulet. If you are newer or if there's harder matchups that you recognize and you want to change this, the Demolisher Amulet is the next good choice here. You still have good power, precision, and ferocity, but now you have a little bit of toughness, so damage reduction. Or if you wanted to get a little bit more HP and still have good DPS stats, and you can do the Marauder Amulet here. So up to you, Marauder, Demolisher, or Berserker. I like to take Berserker because it's just the most damage output, along with the Rune of the Eagle. You get, crit chance and crit damage, and you deal more damage to targets with less than 50% HP. All right, so going back into the weapon sigils here. So for the Greatsword, I like to take Sigil of Intelligence. Your next 3 attacks after swapping to this weapon while in combat have 100% crit chance. So weapon swapping happens often with Warrior, and basically you're trying to use your utility skills and your dagger shield skills to set up your damage with your Greatsword. So you can either stun them with your shield, switch weapons to your Greatsword. Now your Greatsword has a bunch of crit chance on it, and then you start smacking them around with your Greatsword. Or with Bull's Charge here, you're in dagger shield, then you hit them with a Bull's Charge, and then swap weapons to your Greatsword so that you can land 100 blades while they're stunned, and those 100 blades will just be smack, 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 critting them to pieces. So if you didn't know, 100 blades looks like this. Alright, it's an ability that you have to stand still for because it's a cast. So you can't move while you're doing it. That's why you really do need to set it up with stuns, with either Bull's Charge or with your Shield 4, your Shield Bash. So Sigil of Intelligence on the Greatsword, and then also I like Sigil of Energy. Gain 25% of your endurance when you swap to this weapon while in combat. So dodge rolls is pretty huge in Guild Wars 2. If you don't use them properly, you will get caught out and you will die. So these are your dodge rolls here. If I use it like this, if I were in combat right now and I switch back to my Greatsword, that bar would then get filled up faster so that I can use more dodge rolls. Okay, so that's pretty much how that goes. So we like to take Intelligence for increased crit chance, and then Energy for more endurance regen. On the Dagger Shield, there's a couple ways to go about your sigils on here, but the way I like to do it is run Sigil of Cleansing. So remove 1 condition when you swap to this weapon while in combat. If you remember the tree here, removing conditions whenever you swap weapons will already happen because of this trait right here. But now if you're going to switch into your Dagger Shield, you will also remove a condition because of the sigil that's on it. So it's kind of like you're kind of double dipping on the condition cleansing whenever you swap over to your Dagger Shield. And then on hit, remove a boon, Sigil of Revocation. Removing boons is pretty huge with Spellbreaker Warrior. You already get a lot of boon removal with this passive here, but now on hit, every 10-second cooldown with your Dagger Shield, you will also be removing boons. So that's the name of the game with the Warrior. You want to make sure that your enemies don't have any of their buffs on, and when they don't have their buffs on, they're easier to kill. So you can land a stun, do 100 blades, and kill them. All right, so let's go over the utilities of choice here. So I like to take, all right, so Mending is a physical skill. Remove conditions and heal yourself. This is like the strongest heal for a Warrior, so I really like to take Mending on a very short cooldown, 16 seconds. And then Stomp, gain stability and launch enemy foes into the air with a powerful stomp, and gain stability for each enemy struck. So stability is CC immunity for yourself whenever you hit enemies with this. So what Stomp looks like, it's a little circle on the ground. It doesn't have the longest range on it. This is as far as you can throw it down, but you can combo this into your Bull's Charge, which I like to do. As soon as they dodge roll, or that they're not going to dodge roll, you can go ahead and throw this Stomp, and it launches them in a certain direction. Then you can go ahead and Bull's Charge, follow that up with 100 blades, and do some big damage. The other reason why I like Stomp is because it gets you out of stuns as well. So as soon as you get stunned, you can then go ahead and stomp right back on them and then do your stun combo. So it's a really good kind of counter combo, if you will. Next one we like to use is Shake It Off. So this is the really strong utility to cure conditions on yourself. You know, even though you do have curing conditions on weapon swapping, that's really not enough to get rid of like burst conditions, you know, a lot of conditions at the same time. Slowly over time, you will constantly be getting conditions off of yourself or debuffs by weapon swapping. But if that's not enough, then you always have Shake It Off, which removes 4 conditions, but it's also a stun break as well. So that's why it's really, really strong. If you really needed to use it as a stun break, you could. But if you want to use it to get conditions off yourself, you could. And the best scenario is doing both at the same time, right? Let's say you're stunned with a bunch of conditions on you. Well, Shake It Off and you're good to go. All right, next one here is Bull's Charge. You've seen it being used previously on the Ranger NPC over there when I was demonstrating how to use your Stomp. So Bull's Charge, very low cooldown, same cooldown as Stomp, and it's a 3-second knockdown and has a little evade animation in there as well. So you can use Bull's Charge on the way in to evade attacks and then at the same time finishing the stun when you connect. So very, very good ability here. And then the last one we like to use is Rampage. Take the form of a massive juggernaut, reducing the damage you take and the duration of incoming movement impeding conditions. So the damage reduction is 50% while it's active, and you can really just abuse this to get in there and deal some heavy damage with 50% damage reduction while you're in this Rampage form. It looks like this, right? Doesn't last for a really long time, but it lasts long enough to get in here and create some havoc. Okay, so you just get in here and you spam your abilities on things, and then when it fades, you can go ahead and use your other abilities whenever you need to. Okay, so that's what Rampage looks like. I guess we'll go ahead and go over the general play style of Spellbreaker in a nutshell for beginners. Basically, you have your auto attack here, heavy hitting damage. Okay, 100 blades, stand still and smack things around. Okay, then you have my favorite greatsword ability, which is Whirlwind. Very short cooldown. It deals damage in a line as you are dashing through things. It has a evade frame on it. Removes Immobilize and deals some damage on a very low cooldown. Okay, very fun to use. Then you have your Blade Trail. Throw your greatsword at your foe so that it returns to you, so it does damage going out and damage coming back. And it looks like this. You know, you kind of just throw it. It's a slow-moving projectile. And if it hits, then you cripple them. You reduce their movement speed by 50%. And then you have Rush. Charge to strike your foe, removes Immobilize, and it deals some damage. You can use it if you don't have a target selected. Like, if I have an enemy target selected, it'll charge to it. But if you don't have a target selected, you can just charge and aim it in a straight line just for some mobility around the map. All right, so on the Dagger Shield weapon set now here, you have your auto attack, which on the third strike, it's like a combo, 1, 2, 3. It'll give you some might. And then on this one, your Dagger 2, Aura Slicer, it's like a short little leap here that you can use for a gap close or a mobility skill. And it'll also slow the attacker. Removes Immobilize, and it's a combo finisher leap. So if you have anything that can combo field with it, you know, you can use this as your leap combo field. Disturbing Stab is your next one. Daze your target, and if your target is using a skill, the daze duration is extended. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Just a simple crowd control ability here. Little daze, catch people off guard in melee range. Then you have Shield Bash, so bash your foe with a shield and stun them. It stuns them for 2 seconds, and it has a little bit of range on it, so like that. Okay. You need to be pretty close in order to land it, but this is really good for setting up your greatsword. So if you happen to land a bash, then you can swap over to your greatsword and do your heavier hitting abilities with your greatsword. And then the last one is Shield Stance, so you just block attacks. So it lasts for 3 seconds. You turn it on like this, and you kind of you can walk around and block everything that's happening to help you get, you know, into range, or just to, you know, kind of block everything while you're trying to decide what your next course of action is going to be. All right, and then basically the way to play warrior, depending on what classes you go against, of course, your playstyle will change a little bit. But for the most part, you want to be using your greatsword skills, and as soon as you've used them, and you don't even have to use all of them before you switch weapons, you know, you just use a couple. I like to enter with Blade Trail to see if I can land, you know, land this cripple, you know, on the way in. You don't really want to rush into into things if they know you're coming, because it's very telegraphed, you know, and they have a lot of time to react. But you could use it just to kind of gap close a little bit before you know, do anything else. But typically I like to enter with Blade Trail and Whirlwind attack. So coming in here, throw this out, and then Whirlwind in, switch weapons, you know, do a block, maybe do a roll, daze them, stun them, then switch back, you know, hit them with the 100 blades, and then Whirlwind back out, throw another Blade Trail, and then maybe do a, you know, stomp into a Bull's Charge, into 100 blades, into another Whirlwind, switch weapons, roll, or something, you know. The combinations are kind of really up to you, but for the most part, that's kind of the gist of it. When you're playing Spellbreaker Warrior, you kind of want to be swapping weapons constantly and using your skills as appropriate. So, I don't know. Quick example here. I'll just go ahead and fight the Ranger here. So I'll go ahead and throw my Blade Trail, enter with this, dodge his next ability, switch weapons, throw up my block here, and when I'm ready to daze him, I daze him with the Dagger 3, stun him with the Shield Bash, hit him with a couple 100 blades. He pushed me back, so I'm going to stomp in, Bull's Charge, hit him with the Burst skill, turn on my full counter into 100 blades, into Whirlwind, roll back in, and, you know, hit him with another Arcing Slice, and now he's down. So, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it, you know. Of course, situations will change, but just for a simple explanation of kind of how to play the Spellbreaker Warrior, you know. But yeah, you'll discover things on your own as you're playing through it, but that's, you know, just a beginner's, you know, reference there. If you guys are interested in seeing more Spellbreaker gameplay, you want to see my montage, go click on it. It's over there. Should be over there. Click on that. Watch some Spellbreaker ownage. And then if you want, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can click the other, you know, thing over there to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys on another one. Peace.